Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again, and welcome to The Roads with Belle. Today is July 27th, 2025, and this is episode 101 of The Roads Not Taken, which is a weekly series where we go over the news that was unreported, underreported, didn't get the coverage we thought it deserved, or we just found it interesting. And then we go through a few questions from y'all. Today is July 27th, and today is Tree Day. It's basically Australian Arbor Day, and it's also National Korean War Veterans Armistice Day, which is one of the many days people who complain about pride forget about when they talk about veterans. And on this date in 1921, insulin was discovered. And starting with foreign policy, Thailand and Cambodia's tensions spilled over into clashes that intensified quickly. Cambodia started calling for a ceasefire. Wildfires are blazing across Turkey's Mediterranean coast. France is expected to recognize a Palestinian state. Trump has told Israel to, quote, finish the job against Hamas after his ceasefire promises failed. Meanwhile, there are growing reports of starvation. The Israeli army says they will allow airdrops. The UK, Germany, and France are calling for an immediate ceasefire. Russian attacks on civilian areas of Ukraine continue. In U.S. news, former National Security Advisor John Bolton mocked Tulsi Gabbard's accusation against former President Obama. To be fair, the evidence she presented does not match the claims that she made at the time of the release. A federal judge dismissed the Trump administration's suit against Chicago over having sanctuary city policies. Yet another judge has put a block on Trump's birthright citizenship restrictions. Trump accused Obama of treason, and then later inexplicably said that Obama owes him. Redistricting threats are popping up in other states. It seems clear at this point that Republicans do not believe they can win back the voters they lost. In cultural news, the Trump administration is saying the billions he withheld from schools around the country will be released. The move comes as it started to become more and more apparent that red states would not be able to cope with the shortfall in funding. Expect that to foreshadow other cuts in the future. The women's app T was hacked and information was released. In science news, a heat dome in the U.S. puts about 100 million under extreme heat conditions. Marjorie Taylor Greene bashed Trump over his AI policies. RFK Jr. is reportedly considering ending preventative care task forces. Because, of course, he is. In economic news, meme stock trades are back in full swing because what the market really needed right now was more. Trump's claimed investment fund that he trumpeted while he created a situation where American companies face higher tariffs than Japanese ones turns out to not even be in the agreement and is still being discussed. In Oddities, an ethics panel has told AOC she needs to pay an extra $3,000 over the 2021 Met Gala. The Macron family is suing Candace Owens over defamation. Owens allegedly defamed the French First Lady by calling her a man. On to the Q&A. Our first question. I went on base the other day, and it seems like they're on high alert. Everybody had M4s at the gate. So, this is somebody who went to an Air Force base. The guards at the gate were carrying rifles when they normally carry pistols. So, the reason they're carrying rifles is because of faulty equipment reports, not increased threat. The Air Force M18 pistol has been suspended from use after reports of unintentional discharges, and specifically one leading to the death of an airman in Wyoming. Why are prices at an all-time high, but the market is falling apart? This is about the housing market. So, $435,300 was last month's median price. That's high. Yet, yes, the market is shaky. You have a couple of things happening. First, you have what's being called a have and have not market. So, wealthy people who can pay in cash or aren't concerned with the interest rates, they're still buying and selling. And then first-time buyers and the working class are staying out of the market and waiting for better conditions. There's also a weird thing where certain geographic markets are taking a heavy hit in price, which could signal bigger issues down the road. We're seeing a massive push in ICE recruitment in combination with the funding hike they just passed in the big, beautiful bill. Are they in the process of raising that occupying force? Also, would it be likely and or effective for their purposes just to occupy the cities? If they're confident that rural areas are unlikely to rise up, will they just not bother? The target number for recruitment is about 10,000. When you talk about the needed manpower, that doesn't even flip it a percentage point. Beyond that, they anticipate more and more trouble recruiting. They've reportedly authorized a waiver to bring back retirees. Just occupying cities doesn't really change the math. About 80% of the U.S. population lives in urban areas, and occupation math is based on population, not area. So even just going into cities, bringing every single troop, sailor, airman, and Marine back from all over the world, counting cops and so on, they're still millions short. Aside from that, the strategy of just surging certain areas while holding cities has been tried before. It's literally never worked since the advent of modern tactics. Belle, you mentioned in a recent roads episode your general idea of what better school structure within the U.S. would look like. I would love it if you could expand on this further. Specifically, I'm looking for tips on how this change could come about. I've always had a passion for writing and have worked in ECE most of my life without a college education. I recently started going back to school, and this got me thinking of changing my major to the education field, to one day be the person that can put better curriculums together. But if the system needs a sort of dismantling, like you seem to imply, then will a U.S. college education even be worth it? What I want to happen with education and what will are not the same thing. Realistically, I think we'll see more specialized training toward trades, which is job training, not broad-based education, which is what I want. As far as whether college education is worth it, I think all education is worth it. My genuine question here is that with state-funded systems moving away from well-rounded education, well-rounded curriculums will be private. So, what do you need to actually put curriculums together and get them out to the people? Is it something that you could do now? I've been thinking for the last few years that the U.S. military is socialist. It provides food, housing, clothing, work, transportation, etc. to its members. So, when people wave the flag for the military but abhor socialism, I'm tempted to point this out. A few questions about homeless vets. Are vets homeless at a higher rate than civilians? If so, is this because of the high rate of trauma from serving? Could this also be due to a shift from having all of the above provided, or at least subsidized, to civilian society in which none of this is guaranteed? Yes. Vets are disproportionately represented. Vets make up about 7% of the population, but they tend to make up almost double that of the homeless population. Some of it is definitely from trauma. Some of it is from losing the connections to your own hometown. And I'm sure some of it is failure to adjust to civilian life, which often includes not having a lot of experience with the day-to-day of civilian life. To include economics, I know that health insurance was really hard for me to figure out when I separated. And I'm a nurse. It was just difficult. They do have programs when people transition, but I do still think that it's very difficult. Did you fill in for Dee because she's at Comic-Con? Dee is a private person. I filled in because she told me to, and that's what you do as a team. So that looks like it. A little more information, a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.